Okay, so I think we're all packed up. We need to be downstairs. Well, actually, we need to be downstairs at 9:30. But we need to get the bags down there an hour before that. So we're gonna grab everything, say goodbye to this room. We may have another one in this same hotel when we get back, and make our way to the elevators in the lobby. Well, it is early spring in Japan. I shouldn't be too concerned about it, but it's not too bad. I get this on to keep the rain out of my glasses, and I'll be fine, especially since now I'm wearing 3 layers, so I'll keep warm enough. Fortunately, most of the day is going to be spent in one train station or another, since we are taking the Shinkansen over to Nagano. Then again, it's a bullet train. Won't take that long to get to Nagano, just long enough. But before we head out to Nagano, we're going to be tooling around in Tokyo just a little bit longer, heading over to Nippori station. So at Nippori stop, we find ourselves walking through an old town. I want to say it was Yanaka, which is one of the few neighborhoods that actually survived the World War II fire and bombings. So you've got still all these old wooden buildings here. Very old town Japan.
So we find ourselves at Himmoji, and as it happens, we actually have a cherry blossom blooming here in the earliest time of March. Not sure if that's the effect of Buddha or not. May peace prevail on earth. That seems a reasonable enough wish, regardless of religion.
It is amusing that for all the wishes for peace on earth, we've got a couple of people who are today dealing with some crises back at home and in the workforce. Makes me so glad that I'm retired from all that now. Outside of the temple, not unlike churchyards back in the States and in Europe, there's a cemetery here, one of the largest in Tokyo, really the largest in Japan. Even Tokugawa Ieyasu is buried here somewhere. Or his ashes are interred here, I should say, because they don't do burial. They usually do cremation, simply because of the lack of space, which has always been a problem here in Japan, and especially in Tokyo. Interestingly enough, despite being associated with a temple, this is not restricted to Buddhists. As you can see, there is a family marker here for a Christian family. And yes, regardless of what we say about how everybody is saved individually, the markers are for families. They are not individuals because, again, each one of these little fenced-in areas, or gated in, belong to an entire family. Outside of a small cultural center in the neighborhood, the courtyard has an interesting wall here that is made of what used to be roof tiles, these stones. Everything gets reused around here. Things that fall off the roof or are taken from a decommissioned house becomes part of the bricks of a wall. It's a matter of both utility and still beauty in recycling and reusing. We were just passing through a local library, I think partly to dry off, but also to notice that they have a little display about the local cats and the culture that's involved with that. But we did also see a poster about the likelihood of earthquakes throughout the Tokyo prefecture. And Daniel's been pointing out that there are some times in the hotel that feel like we're on a cruise ship. And I had sort of brushed it off at the time, but every so often when I'm lying in bed, I can feel a slight rocking too. And I think it might just be that we're dealing with a few small, really small temblors, something that you wouldn't notice if it weren't for the fact that we aren't used to it back in, the Chicago area. The closest fault line we have is down in New Madrid near the base of the state, so this isn't something we're used to, but it's also small enough that even if we're not, it's not a big deal.
The shopping district we walked through here in Yanaka isn't quite as lively as one might hope. especially if one's a shopkeeper. But it is raining, and it is sort of gloomy out, so it's to be expected, I guess.